everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Stephanie checking in with you today. I pray that everyone is having a blessed and prosperous day. And my word for today is whom the sun sets free is free indeed. I want to give a thank you to everyone who has been watching the first two videos that I dispersed this past week with regard to 4th of July, as well as the discovery of Sarah Sally Hemings' living quarters at Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. I'm going to continue that wave of the discussion of independence by backtracking to June 19th. Well, what is the significance of June 19th? June 19th is Juneteenth, if you've ever heard that term. Juneteenth is a 152-year-old African-American celebration. Why don't we know more about it? Well, that date commemorates June 19th, 1865 in Galveston, Texas, when the remaining persons who were under the yoke of bondage in this country were informed that they were actually free. And that was reportedly about 250,000 more enslaved persons down there in Galveston, Texas. Now, giving a quick timeline, it was recorded that President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, but it was not until 2.5 years later that the last remaining American enslaved people were freed here in our country. So that is worthy of commemoration, Juneteenth. And it's told that they celebrated that day, and I bet they did. Now, in observance of that, what I'm going to do today to tie in a few different themes is to read an excerpt from a poem written in 1895 by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Now, the special thing about, or one of the special things about Paul Laurence Dunbar is that when he wrote in the Black vernacular or the Black dialect. So it's always fun for me to read his work. I am from the South, from Florida in particular, and I grew up around country people, and I am country myself. So when my tongue is relaxed, when I'm around my folks, I can get to talking. But it was always interesting reading the vernacular. It's one thing to speak it, but it's a total different thing to read it. So I always have fun reading his work. Now, I'm going to read it in just a second. Before I do that, I want to talk about Juneteenth quickly again. In 2014, President Barack Obama and the Senate signed that June 19th every year will be a day of observance of Juneteenth. It is not a federal holiday as of yet, meaning we don't have a day off like we do for July 4th or for Labor Day or for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. So we still have work to do in that area. All right? So here's an antebellum sermon. Another thing that is very special about this poem is that it intertwines stories from the Bible, or a particular story from the Bible, the one of Moses being called and sent by God to go tell Pharaoh of Egypt to let the children of Israel go. Now, as our ancestors here in America became literate and became able to read the Bible and understand Bible stories, of course they applied the story to our situation. Of course. So that's one great reason why I love this poem. So here we go. An Ante-bellum Sermon. Oh, and by the way, antebellum means before the Civil War. So this is Paul Laurence Dunbar's literary interpretation of what an antebellum sermon would have been like before enslaved Africans in America gained their freedom. All right. We is gathered here, my brothers, in this howling wilderness, for to speak some words of comfort to each other in distress. And we chooses for our subject, this will explain it by and by. And the Lord said, Moses, Moses. And the man said, Here am I. Now, old Pharaoh down in Egypt was the worst man ever born, and he had the Hebrew children down there working in his corn, till the Lord got tired of his fooling, and says he, I'll let him know. Look here, Moses, go tell Pharaoh for to let my children go. And if he refuse to do it, I will make him rule the hour, for I'll empty down on Egypt all the vials of my power. Yes, he did. And Pharaoh's army was worth a half a dime, for the Lord will help his children. You can trust him every time. And your enemies may sell you in the back and in the front, but the Lord is all around you for the better battle's brunt. They can forge your chains and shackles from mountains to the sea, but the Lord will send some Moses for to set his children free. All right, again, that was an excerpt from An Ante-bellum Sermon, written in 1895 by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Sermons like that during the institution of slavery in America were written to inspire and empower Africans in American bondage. We needed that to keep moving forward. We still need sermons of this nature to keep us moving forward, individually, collectively, and as a nation of people. The Black church was formed during this time because it had to be formed. There was segregation at that time, correct? All right. There is no black or white church anymore now that there's been integration. We self-segregate based on what we see happening in our country, but we still need sermons in all of our communal worship services. Sermons like this towards freedom as a people, as a country, as global citizens, because Jesus died for everyone. On another note, and I cannot leave without saying this, there have been many talks over generations regarding how Africans in America came to know the Word of God and to know Jesus Christ. That was a terrible, terrible introduction. And that introduction was given to us by the synagogue of Satan, not by true emissaries of Christ's light. Be blessed, everyone.